Hi everyone, welcome back to Evermore YouTube channel. It's Chris back with my rant stroke thought of the day. And honestly, I don't even know what to think right now about Newcastle United. What an absolute mess that's going on at the football club right now. So we're going to get into this. Alexander Isak, his future, Eddie Howe's comments, player transfers, the whole shebang. I'm going to try and get into this as quick as I can. And a nice bite-sized thought of the day. And I'll try not to rant about this. So Newcastle United got smashed off Celtic the other day. Me and Mark were there. Nice little day out, nice away trip, but terrible performance. Only the first game of pre-season, so you can't read too much into it. In context, other teams have lost their games in pre-season as well, so I'm not going to lose my mind too much about that. But the big story was Alexander Isak not being in the squad. Actually got sent home, apparently. Joe Linton was still there, even though he couldn't play. He came on the pitch and gave a round of applause to whichever Newcastle fans decided to stay at the end of the game. We did. Isak wasn't there. So Howe was pushed on the comments, and he said that Isak was sent home, because he's managing his minutes. But he also said, or made reference to the point that the speculation of his future is kind of turned his head a little bit. There's loads of various different quotes being drawn out by media, probably pushed the narrative of pushing the story for clicks and likes and everything else. That is the main media angle at the moment. But I saw an interview on Sky Sports where Howe said he's confident that Isak's going to be a Newcastle United player next season. He's confident he's going to be on the plane to Asia. He tried to play it down, but he did say he can't 100% guarantee because that's football. And Eddie's never wavered on that. Eddie's never changed on that tone. I think he's very clever and very careful like that, because in football you can never say never. I remember Andy Carroll signing a new deal, Sky doing a big montage of him saying he wants to be the new Shearer, and then less than 2 months later I think he was sold to Liverpool for 35 million quid. So you can never say never with a player. But Alexander Isak, for me this summer, I cannot see a universe when Newcastle United sell this player in this transfer window, unless the player is so miserable that he's angling for a move. And I don't think that's what's happening here. I think he's pissed off for numerous reasons. He's pissed off because they haven't honoured the contract that they said he would get. Maybe when Amanda Staveley and Murdoch Gadusi were here. Paul Mitchell, if you believe the reports, was not willing to play Alexander Isak the money that he wants. PSR are strangling us as well, so we maybe can't find that wage. But there is ways around this for Newcastle United, but there's nobody steering the ship right now. Try and think about that. Eddie Howe had to cut his holiday short. He made a point of saying that. He's had to basically step into the director of football role. He said he was on holiday for 2 days. His phone went. He was told Mitchell was going, so that kind of dispels the myth that Howe wanted him out and he orchestrated him to get out. There a lot of people were playing that angle. The director of football thing, the club has to own that. Somebody has to own that bad decision. Paul Mitchell was clearly not the right guy for the job, right? Whether the club and the state that it's in and the situation that it's in is not what Paul Mitchell wanted it to be, and that's why he's left, or whether he just wasn't the right guy to work with Eddie Howe and that's why he's gone. I mean, Bunce is still here, and he was brought in, I think, by Mitchell, so Bunce obviously knows how to work with Eddie Howe, and he doesn't seem to have a problem with it, so Mitchell clearly didn't want to be here. But the biggest problem for Newcastle United is this transfer window is arguably the most important transfer window since the takeover. We haven't bought anybody for 3 windows, no first-team regular players. We're back in the Champions League, we've just won a trophy. This is a season and a summer to build quality in that squad. I watched them against Celtic, and yes, it's only the first pre-season game, but under the first 13, arguably, the drop-off in quality is massive. It really, really is, and we need quality in that squad. So the players who are in that top 13 maybe slip into that kind of top 18. I'm talking about the likes of a Jacob Murphy, Fabian Schär, Dan Burn. If you're buying a better centre-half or a better right winger, which we do have in Anthony Elanga right now. Centre forwards as well. Willis Sula maybe drops a bit further down that pecking order, because you're getting a proper good backup centre forward in. But the club is a mess right now. It's an absolute mess. They're not talking to the fans. They're not, curbing fans' concerns and worries. Content creators are making videos just like I'm doing right now, asking what in the fuck is going on. Every single target we've seen them have gone for, and it's ambitious that we're going for these targets. We're swimming in the waters that Chelsea's and Liverpool's and Arsenal's and City's are all in, but we keep missing out on the players. And is it because we can't compete with the financials or the wages? And if that's the case, why are Newcastle wasting so much time spending weeks and weeks and weeks negotiating with these players if they're never going to come and play for us for the salaries that we're going to offer? If a player comes out and says, well, I like what you're doing, I like the project, I like the manager, I like the stadium and the fans, but I'm just holding out to see if City offer me an extra 30 grand a week. Walk away from that deal. He's obviously not the right player for us. Anthony Elanga, the way he spoke, the way he's talked about the club, he is the right kind of player for us. He wants to play for this football club. João Pedro clearly was waiting for the better offer. We don't know what's happening with Hugo Ekitike. The stories are now that Liverpool are going to wrap this deal up. People are saying Liverpool never really wanted Ekitike. They were trying to force our hand on Isak. Have they unsettled the player? Maybe they have. Maybe they have unsettled Alexander Isak. But I think he was relatively unsettled beforehand anyway, because he wants to know what direction the club's going in. There's no talk of the new stadium. There's no talk of the new training complex. We're not signing enough players. He's probably questioning the ambition of the football club. Yes, we're back in the Champions League. I still think, I've stood by this and I'll stand by it still, we get one more year of Alexander Isak. I think if we don't qualify for Champions League at the end of next season, I think he's gone. And then we have to think of the replacement. This summer, there was no better time to look for a centre-forward to try and replace Alexander Isak than this summer. If Newcastle thought Isak was potentially upset or potentially not looking to sign a new deal and maybe moving him on for a big lump sum that helps you with PSR, then you had Victor Osimhen, you had Gyökeres, you had Ekitike, you had Delap, you had these players this window that you could have moved for to sign, and you didn't. And you didn't move. So you were obviously confident Isak wasn't going to go anywhere, but now it looks very much up in the air. So all eyes will be on if Alexander Isak makes that play into the trip to Asia, which I think he will. Flying over to Singapore, then we're playing Arsenal, I think, in Korea, aren't we? So I think Isak will make the trip. I hope this all gets put away. The best way Newcastle can get out of this is sign, seal and delivering a couple of targets. After watching Pope's Howe the other day, just pay Burnley the extra money and sign Trafford for fuck's sake. Go get Scalvini in, go get the centre forward in, make Isak feel like we're making the right moves and get him to try and pen down that new contract. If he wants 350 grand a week, pay him. If that means you've got to move someone like Kieran Trippier on to lighten the wage bill, then fucking do it. Trippier's had a brilliant run at Newcastle. He's 34 years old though. Move him on. You know, have Tino Livramento, have Kraft as a backup, have Leo Sahar coming through. Move Trippier on, clear that wage off the books to make sure you can pay Alexander Isak the money that he wants to be paid and deserves to be paid as one of the best centre-forwards in the world. But nobody's getting hold of this at the club. Howe is expected to set the team up, plan for games, plan for pre-season, and also help with the transfer committee, and he can't do everything on his own. The club is Champions League on the pitch, Championship off the pitch. It's been a fucking disaster upstairs by the football club. No idea what in the hell is going on. There's no COO coming in. There's no director of football coming in. I've no idea what the PIF are doing, bar sponsoring the FIFA Club World Cup and giving Chelsea more money to pip us in the transfer market and pay more wages for allegedly two of our targets. No idea what's going on. This club needs to sort this out, because if we go into next season with only Anthony Elanga to show for the squad enhancements, we are bang in trouble. That Celtic game should have been a realisation for the whole club that the drop-off in quality outside of the top 13 is fucking massive, and we need to enhance and improve that squad if we're going to have any hope of retaining our Champions League status in the Premier League and going far in the Champions League. That's what we need to do. But yeah, it's really worrying at the minute. I don't know what's going to happen with Isak. My gut feeling is that he'll stay. I think it'll be similar to the Anthony Gordon thing that we had last summer, which wasn't ideal preparation. But I think Isak will stay because I don't see anybody that can afford him. If they are going to sell him, I don't know who the hell you're going to bring in. Like I say, the only players that are anywhere near his level, in my opinion, are the likes of Osimhen and Gyökeres, and even there underneath, you know, Benjamin Sesko, if you bring him in, which I think you should do anyway, 50 odd million quid. Sesko's not at the Isak level yet. The only centre forwards who you could say are better than Isak in world football are arguably Mbappe, Haaland, and maybe Harry Kane at the top of his game, but Harry Kane's getting on as well. So, you know, there's no striker for me really on the books you could bring in that would replace Alexander Isak right now. So it'd be madness for Newcastle to sell. It really, really would, especially without a quality enough replacement to come in. But one thing's for sure, they've got 6 weeks or 5 weeks left of this transfer window. They need to get in at least 4 targets for me. Keeper, right-sided centre-half, a centre-forward, and probably a midfielder to replace Longstaff, because what I saw of the likes of Joe White the other day, he is nowhere near good enough. So the squad needs to be enhanced, the manager needs to be backed, and you just need to get shit sorted upstairs, because we are drifting away. We want to be an elite club. We're doing it on the pitch, but off the pitch, we are light years away. And the PIF need to get more of a handle on this and sort this out, rather than being distracted with the World Cup, your own Pro League, whatever else it is you're doing. Get somebody over here to Newcastle United and sort this mess out. I honestly think the club right now are on a collision course with breaching PSR. It's going to maybe have to get to the stage where they just go, do you know what, fuck it, we're going to have to do it. Pay Isak 350 grand a week, go and sign them 4 players, and just take whatever fucking punishment comes out. Every time there was a punishment from the Premier League and the PSR and the FFP rules, they rode back in it. They rode back for the Everton punishment, they rode back on the Forest punishment, and they rode back on the Leicester punishment as well. They would roll back on a Newcastle United punishment. Everyone thinks, oh, they're going to make an example of us, they're going to relegate us. They're fucking not. And you cannot keep waiting for the result of the Manchester City court case, because that could take years. And Newcastle may drift out of the top 5 picture altogether, lose their best players, and you know what? Could even lose their manager if they don't start backing them and they don't start fixing what's going wrong upstairs. But let us know in the comments below what you think about this whole fiasco. Are you concerned about Isak leaving? What the fuck do you think is going on upstairs? Are you confident we're going to get anybody in to fix this? When is it going to happen? And do you think we'll get our targets this summer before the season starts? Always like to hear from you. Like and subscribe. Keep it evermore. Have a belter, everyone. We'll see you later. Cheers.
Heroes celebrate. They have done it.